The room was quiet in that uneasy, end-of-the-night way, lights low. Mics still clipped. Everyone thinking the drama for the day was finally over. Rasheeda had just kicked off her heels. Kirk was half lying on the bed, thumb lazily scrolling. Production was only grabbing soft B-roll now. Nothing heavy, nothing explosive, or so they thought. Then the phone, vibrated. Once, twice. The glow from the screen cut through the darkness like a warning flare. Unknown number. You really gone act like you don't remember what you said last time. The camera caught it before either of them did. A cameraman leaned in. A producer froze in the doorway. Nobody said a word. Rasheeda glanced over casually. Kirk, your phone buzzin'. He didn't reach for it. It buzzed again. Unknown number. It's midnight, and you with her. That's bold. Rasheeda's smile vanished. What was that? She asked. Slow and measured. Kirk shifted. Probably spam. You know they'd be sending all kinds of crazy stuff. But his body betrayed him, shoulders stiff, jaw tight, eyes flicking toward that screen for half a second too long. Spam, don't text like it got an attitude, Rasheeda said quietly. Pick up your phone. He laughed nervously. You really about to do this on camera? And when exactly you ever cared about that? She snapped. The air changed instantly. What had been calm turned electric. Dangerous. Everyone behind the scenes felt it. A producer whispered, don't cut. Whatever happens, don't cut. The phone vibrated again. Rasheeda moved first. She snatched it off the nightstand in one swift motion. Kirk lunged for it. Give me my phone, he barked, panic slicing through his voice. She froze, staring up at him. Why? She asked softly. What's in here you so scared of? Silence swallowed the room. Rasheeda looked down at the screen. Unknown number. Don't play with me. Kirk. You know what we did. Her breath hitched. Kirk. She whispered. What is this? Give me the phone, he said again, louder. No. WHAT is this? Her voice cracked. You know what we did? At midnight, while I'm laying right here next to you. He muttered through his teeth. Cut the cameras. Nobody moved. We still rolling? The cameraman whispered. Rasheeda held the phone up like evidence. Who is this? She demanded. Another Jasmine situation. Another it didn't mean nothing situation. You jumping to conclusions, Kirk snapped. Read the text. He went silent. Her voice trembled as she read aloud. You really don't remember what you said last time. You with her right now. Wow. Bold. Rasheeda's laugh was hollow. So she'll know I'm here too. A beat. So now we got midnight sneaky links, who comfortable knowing your wife is in the same bed. She opened the thread before he could stop her. Don't go through my phone, he snapped, reaching again, but she pulled away. Nah, she said coldly. We doing this tonight? Since we so bold. More messages filled the screen. You said you were gonna leave if she kept embarrassing you on TV. You said you were tired of playing perfect husband. You only act married when the camera's on. I said that out of anger. Kirk blurted. People vent. That don't mean nothing. So now my pain is entertainment for your side piece. She shot back. So now, our arguments is bedtime stories for somebody else. She not just somebody. He muttered and immediately realized what he'd just exposed. Rasheeda stepped back, like she'd been slapped. She not just somebody. She repeated, voice rising. That's the truth right there. That's the realest thing you ever said on camera. Another buzz. Unknown number. If you keep acting brand new, I'll just tell her myself. I got receipts. Rasheeda went still. The receipts, she whispered, then slowly looked up at him. What receipts? Kirk. He paced, rubbing his face. People lie. They clout chase. You letting outsiders bring chaos into our house. Our house. She exploded. You brought this into our house when you gave her your number. When you promised somebody you'd leave me. Her eyes filled. Her voice broke. The cameras didn't miss a second. A cousin crept up the stairs, drawn by the shouting. Everything okay? No, Rasheeda answered immediately. It's not. The cousin froze when they saw the cameras still rolling. Y'all still filming? Apparently they filming my whole life, Rasheeda said bitterly. Then she turned, held out the phone. Read it, she told them. And just like that, a midnight vibration became the moment everything finally came undone. Tripping. The cousin looked down, their eyes widening as they scrolled through the messages. Oh nah, they breathed. This don't look good, Kirk. Thank you, Rasheeda said, throwing her arms up. It's not what it looks like. Kirk shot back. Yo, stop gassing it. Y'all don't know the context. You just reading pieces of a conversation. You said you were gonna leave your wife. The cousin said, their eyebrows raised. What other context is there? Kirk shook his head, frustrated. Y'all always want to jump to the worst conclusion, man. What about the loyalty? What about everything I've been doing right? We don't talk about that. We just zoom in on one text like that's the whole story. Rasheeda stepped closer, her voice low and deadly calm now. You know why, Kirk? Because every time I open your phone and see something I wasn't supposed to, it's never just one text. It's never just a misunderstanding. It's always something that comes with a we gotta talk conversation. I didn't mean it to go that far speech, and a camera in my face while I'm trying not to fall apart. Her words hung heavy in the air. The tension reached another level when the phone buzzed yet again. Unknown number. Oh, so you ghosting me now? Should I send her the pics since you scared? Rasheeda's heart slammed against her ribs. Pics, she whispered. What pics? Now everyone in the room was focused on the phone like it was a ticking time bomb. The cousin's jaw dropped. Yo. They held up the screen without saying a word. One photo had loaded. The top of a woman's face, lips slightly visible, hair tousled, and Kirk's chain very recognizable, very specific, resting against somebody else's neck. The camera zoomed in on Rasheeda's reaction. Her hand flew to her mouth. She took a step back like she'd been physically punched. Are you kidding me? She said, her voice breaking. It's not what you think. Kirk blurted out again, moving toward her. It's an old picture. That's not new. She being messy. She trying to stir up stuff that's already dead. Already dead, Rasheeda repeated. So this is somebody you already messed with. You just confirming that on camera now. He realized the trap, a second too late. I didn't say that, he insisted. You didn't have to. She fired back. The whole world just heard you. Behind them, the crew exchanged glances. They knew this footage was going to explode once it aired. Fans were going to dissect every frame, every breath, every hashtags would trend. Think pieces would be written. Reaction videos would pop up within hours. The drama was too layered, too raw, too familiar to ignore. The cousins shook their heads slowly. Man, a person can only take so much. For real? Rasheeda's voice dropped. Get out. Everyone froze. She didn't look at her cousin, or the crew, or the producer, or even the camera. She stared at Kirk, her eyes bright and dangerous. Get out, she repeated, each word more painful than the last. You kicking me out my own room? He asked, scoffing, trying to turn it into a joke. I'm kicking you out my piece, she said. You don't respect this space. You don't respect this marriage. You don't respect what we went through the first time. Get out. Her cousin quietly stepped out of the room, glancing awkwardly at the crew, who still hadn't put their cameras down. The hallway felt crowded with tension and whispers. But the bedroom itself was a battlefield now. Rasheeda, Kirk, and a phone that refused to stop screaming the truth. Kirk ran his hands over his head. So that's it. One text and you've done. One text. She snapped. You really gone insult me like that? After everything. This is not one text. This is a pattern. This is disrespect. This is you playing with my intelligence and my heart on national television like it's your little storyline. He laughed bitterly. Like you don't benefit from the storyline too. Like we not both sitting here getting checks from the same drama everybody loved to watch. The room got colder. Wow, Rasheeda said, her eyes narrowing. So my pain is content to you. That's what we doing. You really said that out loud. He hesitated, realizing how bad it sounded, but the words were already out there. Recorded, archived, and ready to be broadcast to millions. Look, I'm just saying. They want drama, he said, gesturing toward the cameras. Every time we argue, the ratings go up. Every time we get into it, the network happy. You don't think they be pushing you to, telling you to bring up old stuff, to cry a little longer, to drag it out for another episode. He thought pointing at the production would take the heat off him. Instead, it did the opposite. Because in that moment, Rasheeda realized something even darker. You so comfortable hurting me, she whispered. You think you doing your job. The silence that followed was brutal. Even the crew shifted uncomfortably. Some of them looked away, guilt creeping in. They were there to film a show. But now they were standing in the middle of a real marriage cracking under the weight of old wounds and new evidence. From downstairs, another family member shouted up, Y'all good? We can hear y'all all the way in the kitchen. We not good? Rasheeda yelled back without breaking eye contact with Kirk. But I promise you one thing, we gone, be real. She turned to the nearest camera. You wanna see reality? She asked, her voice shaking but strong. This what it looks like. Cameras rolling while your husband's phone blowing up at midnight with somebody else. Talking about receipts, and you know what we did. You watch me forgive. You watch me stay. You watch me rebuild. But you've also gone, watch what happened when I get tired of being the only one fighting for this. Fans would later say this was the moment the show stopped being just a show. It felt like a documentary. Raw, messy, too real. Some were on Rasheeda's side immediately, flooding social media with messages like she deserves better and why he keep embarrassing her like this. Others questioned the timing, wondering if this was all staged, all orchestrated for ratings. But whether you believed the midnight text was real or not, one thing was clear. Emotions ran high, and the family was left divided. Kirk shook his head, frustrated. You trying to turn the world against me right now? I don't have to, she replied quietly. You did that yourself when you started texting somebody else about leaving me instead of talking to me. He paused, his anger giving way to something else, fear. What you want me to say? He finally asked. You want me to admit I messed up? Fine, I messed up. I was talking to somebody I shouldn't have been talking to. I was venting to somebody I knew was attracted to me. I know what that looks like. I know what it feels like for you. I know you don't deserve that. The room was silent. The cameras didn't move. But I didn't sleep with her, he added quickly. I swear to God, I didn't sleep with her. Rasheeda let out a bitter laugh. You know what's crazy? At this point, I don't even know if that makes it better or worse. The confession, half-hearted as it was, sent shockwaves through the house. Downstairs, the family member who'd overheard the yelling earlier was now sitting at the bottom of the stairs, listening, holding their head in their hands. They'd watched this couple rise, fall, rebuild, and now they were watching them fall apart again, live, with boom mics hanging over their heads. Upstairs, the cousin came back to the doorway, eyes wet. Y'all gotta chill, they said softly. This is going too far. The whole world gone. Have an opinion on this tomorrow. Let them, Rasheeda replied. They always do anyway. The cousin looked at Kirk. Why you keep putting her through this, man, for real? You know what you almost lost last time. You know how close this family came to breaking, they said, their voice cracking. We all lived through that with y'all. Kirk's shoulders slumped. I know, he said, his voice low. I know, and I hate that I'm here again, but I'm being real when I say it wasn't what she trying to make it look like. It started as talking. We was just talking. Married men, the cousin shot back. Don't just talk to people they know is waiting on them to slip. The phone buzzed again, almost like it was mocking the whole room. Unknown number. So you really gonna lie like that? Wow, bet. Another photo appeared. This one was more incriminating. A hotel room mirror. Kirk's reflection barely visible in the corner, shirt off, his tattoo recognizable. A woman, face half hidden, holding up his chain in front of the camera. Rasheeda's entire body went rigid. You done? She set the phone down slowly on the bed. The camera moved in closer. Her eyes shimmered, but she refused to blink them clear. You done? She repeated. Kirk's face went pale. That was before, he blurted out, that was before we decided to really fix things. I swear, that's old. She being messy. She trying to drag old stuff into right now because I cut her off. So you lying by omission then, Rasheeda said. You letting me stand on TV, in front of the world, talking about how we healed, how we grew, how we stronger than ever, knowing there's still stuff like this sitting in somebody's phone, waiting to pop up at midnight. Her pain was undeniable now, even for those who wanted to blame editing or producers. Why you didn't tell me? She asked, her voice quieter. Why you didn't give me the full truth so I could decide if I really wanted to stay? Why you keep letting me build on half a story? He didn't have an answer. Or maybe he did, but none of them sounded good enough. Not for her. Not for fans. Not for the kids who'd eventually see these episodes. Not for anyone. Downstairs, one of the younger family members old enough to understand, too young to process, it peeked up the stairs, confusion on their face. A relative gently pulled them back. Don't go up there, baby, they said softly. They working some things out. The truth was, the entire household was shook. The crew, the cousins, the kids, everybody. The family was left divided, not just over what Kirk had done, but over whether this should even still be on TV. One crew member muttered, man, this don't even feel like a show no more, as they wiped at their own eyes. A producer, though, whispered, this is the season. This is the one everybody's gonna be talking about, because that's how reality TV works. The realer, the pain, the higher the ratings. Back in the room, Rasheeda took a deep breath. I'm not gonna break down on camera, she said quietly, almost to herself. Not this time. I'm not giving y'all that shot again. Y'all done got enough of my tears. She walked over to the dresser, grabbed a hoodie, and slipped it on over her nightclothes. Kirk, she said, not looking at him. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I don't know what the internet gon' say. I don't know what the fans gon' decide for us in their little comment sections and reaction videos. She finally looked at him, eyes full of hurt but also something new. Resolve. But I know this, she continued. Tonight, I choose me. I choose not to sit here and argue with a man whose phone got more truth in it than his mouth. She walked toward the door. He reached out instinctively, grabbing her wrist gently. Please don't walk out, he said. Not like this. Talk to me off camera. Let's just cut all this. Tell them to stop. The camera shifted to catch both their faces. You should have thought about all that before you gave her something to screenshot, she replied. She softly pulled her hand away. At the doorway, she turned to the crew. Y'all can cut now, she said. You got what you needed. The camera slowly pulled focus as she stepped out of the room, the audio catching the heavy silence left behind. But they didn't cut right away, because the story wasn't finished. They kept rolling on Kirk, sitting on the edge of the bed, hands covering his face. They filmed the cousin rubbing their forehead, pacing, mumbling to themselves, man, this is too much. They filmed the hallway, where the family whispered, cried, argued quietly among themselves about what should happen next. Some said, she'll need to leave him. For real this time. Others said, they've been through worse. They'll figure it out. The divide was clear. Hearts were split. Loyalty was tested. And outside the house, once this footage eventually hit screens, fans would be shocked. They'd pick sides. They'd pull up old clips, old interviews, old reunion episodes to say, we saw this coming. Or she deserved better from the start. Or nah, this gotta be for ratings. Ain't no way. But they weren't there at midnight when that phone buzzed. They weren't there when cameras kept rolling and everybody in that house had to decide whether they were part of a show or part of a real-life crisis. And that's where the real twist hides. The one nobody sees coming. Because while the world would be debating whether this was scripted or real, whether the photos were old or recent, whether the number was a clout-chasing ex or a brand new side situation, the only people who truly knew the whole story were the ones standing in that room when it all went down. And as the crew finally cut the cameras, packed up their gear, and slipped quietly out into the night, one thing was clear. This wasn't just another episode. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one that would force everyone, from family to fans, to ask the same question. Was this the fight that finally broke them? Or the wake-up call that would change everything? If you were in Rasheeda's place, what would you do after seeing those midnight messages and those shocking receipts? Would you fight for the marriage one more time? Or finally walk away for good? This story is far from over, and the next chapter could change everything. Drop your honest opinion in the comments right now, because we're reading every single one. If you want the full fallout, the family reaction, and what happens next after the cameras stop rolling, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss what's coming next.